That's hello. That really hurt my knees, actually. I don't know why I tried to do that. Hello guys, it's 899 here, and welcome to NRL Tips and Predictions Round 7. It's like I'm doing these every day now with the advancement of time. But anyways, let's get into it. So, opening game of Round 7 on Thursday, up at Queensland, at Suncorp Stadium, Lang Park if you're a older gentleman. Basically, it is the Redcliffe Dolphins up against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now, this game is going to be a little bit weird because Souths are kind of considered heavy favourites at the moment. But to me, I don't think it's that warranted. Granted, yes, South Sydney did put over 50 against the Bulldogs last week on Good Friday. But there is, obviously, you consider things saying that there is a lot of players that were out for the Bulldogs and more players that ended up becoming out. Obviously, as one example being Josh Addo-Carr being out for a considerable while when he got injured in that game. And I really don't think the scoreline reflected the match. I mean, it just reflected that South Sydney just ran away with it with that. And as well, they got a sim bin in their favour. So, I don't know. The Dolphins did look very solid against the Cowboys last week, and obviously that's kind of also the same thing because the Cowboys haven't been that great so far this year. So all in all, this is actually going to be, I think, very much a close game, and I'm actually going to tip, I don't know actually, I feel like kind of for safety I probably might have to tip the Dolphins. I don't know, I just don't know about Souths, because now it's like you're playing against a team who's actually very good now. I don't know. I mean, yeah, the Dolphins also have injuries, but they're starting to get players coming back, so who knows. But I do think it'll be a very close game, but I do think the Dolphins will beat South Sydney. Now we go on to the first game of Friday with one of the many games which are going to be hard to predict. It is the Cronulla Sharks up against the Sydney Roosters. Almost said Roosters there. Shout out to Patrick Gillespie. But the Cronulla Sharks obviously had a bye last week, so going to have some fresh players coming in, and they're going to be taking on the Sydney Roosters, who were quite lackluster to say the least against the Melbourne Storm. So it's going to be another close game with this. It's hard to say because Sharks are currently in 11th, but now you've got Nico Hines back, and I believe the last time the Sharks played was against the Dragons, where they came out in the second half and demolished them. I'm still not that fully convinced with the Roosters as of yet. I mean, they have had some good performances this year. I do think they'll make the 8 at this point, but I don't think... Nothing I've seen as of yet, and as we all know, I am the only judger of how teams will go in rugby league. It's just me. I haven't really seen anything yet that would say, yep, they're going to challenge for the title this year, but... And this is, once again, this is going to be another close game. I feel like this is a game that's probably going to be decided by the wire. Oh. The shoe wants to talk. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, that's mildly offensive. You're voting that way. Huh. That's interesting. Okay. The shoe has spoken. The shoe-in of the week is... the Cronulla Sharks will beat the Sydney Roosters Friday 6 p.m. So there we go. So we have to listen to the shoe because, as we all know, the shoe is actually 100% so far because it did get correctly. The Knights would beat the Warriors last week. So we'll see if the divine shoe will actually continue. So thank you for your guidance, sir. What the fuck am I doing? Now we go into the final game on Friday, and oh boy. It is a doozy because historical significance. It is the Manly Seagulls up against the Melbourne Storm at 4 Points Park, Brookvale Oval. It's the Battle of Brookvale. You with the shaka, like all the other inbreds do. This is going to be weird as well, and it's another game that's going to be kind of hard to predict because obviously Manly last week got thumped by the Penrith Panthers. The Storm did end up getting a win against the Roosters last week in Melbourne, so those can be deciding factors. I would lean to Melbourne taking this game, but I think because obviously, I mean, it's Melbourne, not Melbourne, it's Penrith. That's like, I mean, obviously every team's going to struggle against the Panthers, regardless of like who's playing for them. I mean, it probably could be like an under sixes team, and they'll still win by 30 points against some teams. Not pointing fingers, but I do think that the Manly Sea Eagles, I think with a home game, and they've actually been very decent at home, I think that Manly should win. But I do think Manly should win though. I don't think it'll be like as close as hell. I think the Sharks Roosters game will go, but I think it'll be like probably decided by one try, and I think Manly, I think currently would probably be the best team to actually, the more likely to win that game. Now we go on to the first game on Saturday, and it is all the way over across the ditch. It is the New Zealand Warriors up against the North Queensland Cowboys. Obviously, these two teams only just played about a couple of weeks ago, and it was in North Queensland, and it was I believe it was a 26-12 win for the Warriors upon reflection. Warriors having a fantastic season at the moment. Last week, they only went down just after fighting very valiantly against my team, the Newcastle Knights. The Cowboys actually did play all right last week, but ended up losing to the Dolphins. Sportbet's actually having this game very close. $1.87 for the Warriors and $1.93 for the Cowboys. I'm not buying it for 1 second. I want to say there's something horribly wrong with the Cowboys, but it's like the Cowboys just haven't been that great to start off the year, and I don't really see anything that's going to signal it that this is going to change. Especially like they lost to the Warriors in North Queensland. How the hell are you going to beat them in Auckland? But that's just how my thinking is, and I think the Warriors should win this game. I'm not saying it should be like comfortably or anything, but I do think the Warriors will bounce back from last week against the Knights and get the win over the Cowboys. Just realised I've picked all home teams so far. We'll see if this continues. Now we're going to the 5:30 match, and it is the Newcastle Knights up against the Penrith Panthers. Well, that ended quickly. So obviously the Newcastle Knights are coming off a win against the Warriors, won by 10 points. So the Knights are technically in the 8 as they jumped over Manly. But they're taking on Penrith. And also the news that dropped today that Jayden Brailey has redone his ACL and will be out for the remainder of the season. It sucks. The Knights can't catch a break for some reason. But even if Brailey was playing, it's Penrith. Like, as much as I want to say that we have improved, which we definitely have, and we're actually going to put the fight to them, which I think we will to some extent. I think we'll be a lot closer than last year when we played them in Newcastle. But I just have Penrith winning. I mean, it's not controversial. I think the Knights will do well. If we can make it sort of close, I think it'll be it's a good testing to see, okay, can we actually conceivably make the 8 this match? But yeah, I do think Penrith will win this game. Now we go into the final game on Saturday, and it is the South Queensland Derby 2. Not the original, because the South Queensland Crushers aren't there. Also, that should be the third one, because the Gold Coast Seagulls aren't there. I don't know, it's weird. But anyways, it is the Gold Coast Titans up against the Brisbane Broncos. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, yeah. Basically, the Gold Coast Titans did come off a very close win against the Dragons. Dragons were looking alright. But the Titans, people saying, did steal the win. But, I mean, it's not really, you don't win on style points. That's just how it is. The Brisbane Broncos did suffer their first loss last week after a very valiant Raiders team. Like, that game was nuts, and the Raiders picking up the win there. But I still think the Broncos are all right. This game is going to be another one that's hard to predict, because there's a lot of like psychological thinking that has to go into this about like players and like, or what they're going to do as like potential outcomes and stuff like that. Like, but generally saying all lines should point to the Broncos winning, but I don't know. I think this is going to be actually a very close game. I think I might go for safety and probably just say that I think Brisbane will win. Not fully convinced though, but I'll just say that. Now we go into the first game on Sunday, and it is the Canberra Raiders against the St George Illawarra Dragons. Obviously Canberra, probably one of the most gutsiest wins I've seen from a team in a very long time, beating Brisbane, stopping their win streak at Suncorp. It was amazing to see. Obviously, hopefully for a speedy recovery for Jordan Rapana. And the Dragons still looked very much all right last week, but just came up just short against the Gold Coast Titans. Now, for me, thinking with this momentum that Canberra has, they could go on and win this game. Only issue I'm worried about now is because obviously now Rapana's out, who is a very key important factor. But they just recently got back Jared Croker. And Jared Croker really announced his return back, which is great to see. Hopefully he can continue on this season to get to his 300th match this year, because Croker is amazing. But I want to go with Canberra. I really do. In fact, I will actually. I completely changed my mind there, but I do think Canberra can win this game. It is at home. It will be very close again, like last week. I think genuinely this could be a game that goes down to golden point. Can't use the shoe on this one because he's already spoken his piece, but that's how I'm currently thinking of how this match will go. Probably it's going to be like a 12-all, goes to golden point, Croker nails it, something like that. But yeah, that is how I think that match will go down. Now we go to the final game on Sunday, and it is a pretty decent rivalry, to say the least. If it even is one, I don't know what rivalry means anymore. But it is the Parramatta Eels up against the Canterbury Bulldogs, aka the Mid Derby. Obviously, Parramatta did get a win against the Tigers besides themselves. I'm glad they've probably taken the 2 points and absolutely are running with it, because, oh boy, the Tigers actually almost won, and in fairness, the Tigers probably should have won, because, wow. Very unlucky for the Tigers to actually not win yesterday. But the Bulldogs obviously did get belted on and off the field in terms of their players being injured and losing and conceding 50 points, because there's a stat. I don't know if you know about it. I'm not going to actually repeat it because, you gets bashed in your skull every time it's said. But because of the amount of injuries they've now got and have now picked up from last week, I have to go Parramatta to win this game. All the forwards out for him, and now you have Addo Carr out as well. It's just not looking great. But yeah, those are my predictions there. Would do a prediction saying, West Tigers versus the bye, but I don't know. I mean, probably now because Brent Naden and Dewey are out, I don't really see the Tigers winning for a while, unfortunately. But that is going to be my predictions there for round 7. What do you guys have? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.